I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
From his beginnings as a Saturday Night Live legend, a brief career as a scene-stealing character actor, to eventual Hollywood fame, Will Ferrell is the definition of comedy superstar. But like so many funny men before him, Ferrell wasn't content just playing the jester. Although several comedians of his magnitude achieved success through dramatic efforts, Ferrell's non-burgundy roles never seemed to land with audiences. And after a creative conflict with his former collaborator, many fans are wondering if they'll ever get a chance to take Will Ferrell seriously.
What's normal? That guy, Stanley, what's his name, down the Blue House, his wife blew her brains out last month because her daughter didn't make cheerleading.
When Will Ferrell first made his jump from an improv wannabe to full-fledged SNL cast member, nobody knew just how much of an impact he would make. Struggling to connect with new audiences before his arrival in 1995, Saturday Night Live was practically rescued by Ferrell's style of comedy. Earnest, straight-faced, woefully confident, and most of all, eternally stupid.
Why don't you just worry about yourself and leave the prospecting up to old Gus Chickens?
I ain't going to battle with this stinky old man.
Ferrell rocked the cowbell, busted out impressions, and answered the world's smallest cell phone to achieve master status on the comedy stage. As the sketch actor began spreading his wings in films based on SNL characters, it was only a matter of time before he made a major jump. From bopping to the beat of A Night at the Roxbury to breaking out some questionable looks in Superstar, Ferrell was on the rise. And as his show-stopping character work in films like Austin Powers and Zoolander piled up, Hollywood took notice. The most memorable character in an ensemble of legends, old school, was perhaps the moment that made Ferrell a movie star. Despite Frank the Tank's R-rated royalty status, Ferrell had yet to truly headline a blockbuster. That all changed in 2003 with the holiday release of a little film called Elf. And after the comedian's childish glee and screams for Santa certainly entered him into a new realm of success,
you sit on a throne of lies.
A follow-up feature would truly alter the course of Will Ferrell's career forever. Outright stupidity, strangely hilarious hair, a striking sense of confidence, that sensitive gaze which could easily be mistaken for a 10-yard stare, Ron Burgundy is in essence the perfect Will Ferrell character.
Ryan, I'm gonna be honest with you, that smells like pure gasoline.
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Because buried beneath layer upon layer of ridiculousness, Anchorman has the backbone of a genius satire concocted by one of comedy's greatest collaborations. Adam McKay, director and co-writer of Anchorman, was Will Ferrell's counterpart in more ways than one. Having also gotten his start as a humble improv comedian hoping to make it big, McKay was drafted onto SNL the same year as Ferrell. Despite hoping to join the cast as a performer himself, McKay was instead relegated to the writer's room. This letdown would go on to pay off for the young comedian in a big way because the following year, McKay became the head writer of Saturday Night Live at just 28. As Ferrell and McKay's stars rose in tandem, they joined forces for the first time to create Anchorman, the Legend of Ron Burgundy. Originally planned as a disaster movie centered around a battle with murderous orangutans, the duo reportedly had their script saved by friend Paul Thomas Anderson. With rewrites focused on McKay's satirical writing and Ferrell's infectious performances, Ron Burgundy became a comedic monster.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
While McKay began calculating their next co-written film, Ferrell went on to star in numerous comedy features. But somewhere in the midst of kids' comedies and retro sitcom adaptations, the actor decided it was time to show a different kind of character. Well, sort of. Winter Passing, a low-budget indie drama, was the first time some Ferrell fans were exposed to his dramatic chops. As a stunted and overly sensitive musician, Will Ferrell was allowed to display a sense of sadness. But in a move that would come to define his dramatic roles, his performance shines as the brightest spot in an otherwise miserable set of circumstances. In other words, even in a drama, the guy is still pretty funny. When Ferrell followed up with another McKay joint effort in Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, some fans were simply relieved to see the duo reunited. A major box office hit for the pair, Talladega Nights was like a return to form for both comedians. And with the addition of Paul Thomas Anderson's frequent collaborator, John C. Reilly, Ferrell's comedy just kept improving. But on the heels of their second success, Ferrell once again turned heads with a serious role, and this time, it seemed like the actor might rewrite his entire career. Stranger Than Fiction, a surreal and superb romantic film, featured just the right blend of surprising choices and Ferrell's inherent comedic sensibilities. Backed by a bizarre take on writers and literal world building, Stranger Than Fiction offered a rare glimpse into a soulful Will Ferrell. By playing into his physical strengths as a comedian and letting the actor show true vulnerability, Stranger Than Fiction put a spotlight on Ferrell's range, or should have. Though a minor hit with critics and something of a hipster classic, Stranger Than Fiction just didn't connect with mainstream audiences. Perhaps destined to remain as a memory of early aughts dorm room DVD shelves, the most audacious of Will Ferrell's dramatic roles is currently lost to time. Though there is always hope for a rediscovery among new viewers, the mild disappointment of Stranger Than Fiction is deafening. To put this failure in context, take Jim Carrey for example. The Truman Show, undoubtedly a serious undertaking by one of comedy's biggest stars, was an outright success. Equally as surreal, just as focused on the talents of its star and a vast difference in reception, The Truman Show, nominated for multiple Academy Awards, was a box office colossus which allowed audiences to accept Carrey as a serious actor. Unfortunately for Ferrell, Stranger Than Fiction wasn't enough to turn the page. Was it his notoriety as the perfect doofus, his physical attributes, the very notion of Ferrell in a romance? More than likely, a combination of all the above. With Adam McKay, Ferrell next created the action comedy smash The Other Guys, and another outright comedy classic with Step Brothers. As the first film under their newly formed company, Gary Sanchez Productions, Step Brothers laid out the blueprints for the duo's strange comedies.
1, 2, 3. Velociraptor. Good Housekeeping. John Stamos. What? Did we just become best friends? Yup!
Once again joined by John C. Reilly, Step Brothers has become something of a classic for film freaks from all walks of life, insane in every way, and more hilarious than just about any other lowbrow comedy of its design. Ferrell, McKay, and Reilly once again transcended the norms of comedy success. And in true Ferrell fashion, the actor quickly followed up his Step Brothers fame with another attempt at something serious. Starring in the indie drama Everything Must Go, Ferrell took on the works of famed author Raymond Carver to a familiar lack of mainstream attention. Though typically admired by most critics, Everything Must Go hoped to show audiences an even edgier version of Ferrell's talents. But by tackling the role of a slightly vengeful, potential rageaholic, Ferrell only brought on more unfavorable comparisons. Punch Drunk Love, the brutal and beautiful masterpiece of Paul Thomas Anderson, immediately transformed Adam Sandler's career. With his striking, dramatic turn as a hopeless romantic prone to outbursts, Sandler was able to forge a creative path you could ever hope to achieve. Whether he's making more Happy Gilmore movies or starring in critical darlings like Uncut Gems, audiences are eager to accept Sandler in any form. Sadly, for Ferrell fans, things didn't seem to be panning out the same way. As Ferrell continued to dominate the mass-market comedy field, his family-friendly films amassed major box office receipts. And even during his extended hits with successful Lego movies and Daddy's Home reruns, the actor made a U-turn towards ill-fated drama. As failures like Downhill piled up, it was perhaps difficult to see what was happening around him. Because when Adam McKay turned his own attention toward drama, audiences were more than willing to accept it. The Big Short and Vice, two politically charged satire films from McKay, were absolute juggernauts among critics. Having racked up an unbelievable amount of nominations for both features, McKay earned an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. And although Ferrell was obviously supportive of his collaborators' amazing success, the game was about to get physical. An avid fan of sports, star of numerous ball-based comedies, and just waiting to play his dream role, nobody wanted to be Jerry Buss more than Will Ferrell. Jerry Buss, the eccentric former owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, was the perfect opportunity for Ferrell to fully show off his range. And when McKay began putting an adaptation of his story called Winning Time into production, it seemed like a no-brainer. Bigger than life, wilder than you can imagine, and absolutely brimming with that lived-in sadness, Jerry Buss could have been the vehicle Ferrell needed to change his path. Unfortunately, production partner Adam McKay didn't agree. The truth is, the way the show was always going to be done, it's hyper-realistic, McKay recalled, and Ferrell just doesn't look like Jerry Buss, and he's not that vibe of Jerry Buss. Crushed by the disappointment of losing his dream role to friend John C. Reilly, Will Ferrell ultimately dissolved his working relationship with Adam McKay. And due to their irreconcilable differences, Gary Sanchez Productions was completely dissolved. After creating so many classics together, so many perfect comedy moments, it all ended with a middling HBO show. Looking back on the disastrous lifespan of Winning Time, it's hard to believe such greatness could come to this disappointing conclusion. But from Ferrell's perspective, this betrayal was potentially what barred him from launching into A-list dramas. And as Sandler netted another win from the basketball drama Hustle, it's honestly not a great look for anyone involved. Having the rug pulled out from beneath you just before the buzzer is tough to recover from. And sadly, it doesn't seem like the actor is ready to get back on the court. Whether it's the result of bad blood between lost brothers or an industry moving away from studio comedies, Ferrell has yet to truly break free from his current career. With more quick cameos in blockbusters, a touching documentary, and the failure of the forgotten streamer, The Shrink Next Door, it feels like Will Ferrell is still stuck between worlds. Sometimes even the biggest comedy stars hit rock bottom. For all of Jim Carrey's dramatic successes, there are also total bombs like the number 23. Even the Sandman himself is capable of the Cobbler-level disasters. But when the ball is no longer in your court, audiences expect more than just another cameo in billion-dollar franchise movies. If Ferrell plays smart and avoids any Holmes and Watson sequels, we may just discover an entirely new entry in his career. With the right director, or dare we say it, a very important reunion, Will Ferrell has the perfect opportunity to seriously surprise us. That's it for this week's episode. So tell us, what do you think was Will Ferrell's most satisfying dramatic performance? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're here, be sure to hit like and subscribe to keep up with all our Nerdstalgic videos.